Hello everybody, it is Badger Wild and we are back with another Space Engineers tips video. Today we're going to talk about the gyroscope, and some of y'all are probably looking into this thing trying to figure out how it works, how to build better ships. And I can tell most of you right now, you're probably, in the way you're designing ships, you're probably using one too many gyroscopes anyway to get the maneuverability and speed out of your ship that you're wanting. So, before we get done, if you like the video, be sure to hit that like, comment on the video, tell me how much it's helped you, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content. And we will get right into the video. So, the thing about gyroscopes, this is what enables your ship to move up and down and then twist and go all over the directions. But there are some tricks to gyroscopes, everybody. Several tricks, in fact. One has to do with where your cockpit is located. Another one also is where your gyroscope is located, obviously, but also it depends on where you put both of them in tandem. And I would tell you, as a person who's been sitting here building ships for a while, you want to put the gyroscopes about as close to your main cockpit as you possibly can. And there's a reason for that. So the first thing you should do if you are building a ship and you decide, I really want to know where to put these gyros at, you really want to try and install your gyroscopes last, if you can, into a ship. If you can figure out where your cockpit's going to go, figure out where everything else is going to go at, and then work from there. This is why some pre-planning of your ship is very important, and I'll show you why right now. Now, in here you can see that I've got a ship, well, sort of a ship. I've got a bar in space, we're moving it. This is just the most simplistic way to show you the difference here. So, moving my mouse back and forth here, you can see I've got a lot of movement, and it's very ballistic right now. Turning, not so much. It's kind of the similar amount of turning speed, and there's a reason for that. So, if I go here into I on the keyboard, which is just going into the control panel area, you just figure out where your control panel is, go to Info. We go over here to this little button in Info that says Show Center of Mass. Now you have to do this while you are inside the grid in question. Right here, my grid is 858. So you want to see about the center of mass here, and click that on. What that is going to do is inside of it, and we'll go underneath so you can see this a lot more better. You're going to see this little odd multi-cross starburst kind of looking thing in your ship. And what this is it is the center of mass. This is where all the weight of your ship is teetering at. This is the balance point. If you were to take your ship and you were to put a spike into your ship to balance right there on that particular point, your ship would achieve total balance and it would sit there perfectly. Now, why is this important? Because your gyro and your cockpit, or your helm, or whatever your control block is that's going to help the ship maneuver, are locked in tandem with this particular direction, or this center of mass. So if I get in here, you can see everything is kind of tilting, but it's more or less tilting on the cockpit. And the cockpit is going to determine where your ship tilts. Now, if the cockpit is closer to your center of mass, it's going to show that it tilts very efficiently. Your gyros have to work less because they are pulling against all areas equally, and that's what your gyros are doing. They're fighting against it. However, if we take this cockpit here and move it to the very tail end of our fulcrum, which is what we're dealing with right now, and I were to hop into it, the very first thing you're going to notice is when I wiggle this thing up and down, I'm not getting the movement I had before. Remember, before it was highly ballistic. We're not getting that high ballisticness, and that's because you're trying to turn the ship at a different focal point. Ultimately, where the ship turns and where the control turns it at is going to depend on where your cockpit is in relation to the center of mass. The farther away the cockpit is, the more weight you're pulling against, and the gyros are trying to override and keep it turning from where the cockpit section is at. It's a very interesting concept here. We're just trying to pull. So you don't get this, you don't have as much. In doing so, I'd have to install more cockpits. On the flip side, however, If I were to put my cockpit here, and we take the gyro and move it all the way to the end here on the same plane, this is where other things start to have an effect. Because the gyro has a lot of weight, you notice our center of mass has moved from where the cockpit's at over to here where the gyro is. And like I said, that's where pre-planning of your ship comes into play, knowing where the center of mass is and trying to keep everything in that area in design. Again, you'll notice that we are having a tough time taking this thing and turning it as I'm going up, moving the mouse up, moving the mouse down, moving the mouse up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. We're having this difficulty here. Whereas, if I were to take my gyro and stick it right here onto the very fulcrum point, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here we go. You can see this is actually getting a little bit more speed out of it. Going up, going down, going up, going down. Now, as far as rolling, the gyros and everything seems to work better when you have it closer together. And you can solve this one of two ways. Like I said, prudent planning. Plan out your entire design. Figure out what the mass is. If you really want to get, if you really are a glutton for punishment, go in there and decipher the laws of mathematics and higher formulas and figure out the exact weight of your ship and figure out exactly on there through whatever weird math voodoo you have to go with, whatever demon from the hell of math you have to pull in to give this thing and figure out exactly where your center of mass is, and then begin building around. Or just prudently plan most of your ship and then install your and figure out about the area of where your main bridge or cockpit's going to be at and place your gyros in there. And have them either in there or close by. Then if you need more gyros to get the speed you want, you're only adding what you need. And that's how gyroscopes usually work. That's how you're going to do this. It's mostly, it's fulcrum and leverage. That's what it is. So if you have a lot of fulcrum on one end and you're trying to tilt, it's not going to have that effect because you're having to pull it. The closer the gyro is to the center of mass and the closer your cockpit is to the center of mass of your ship, the easier your ship is going to have maneuvering around. The less mass you have to put into it, the less PCU you're having to put into it, and it just makes an all more efficient design. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the concept of all this kind of boring stuff in building a ship. Hope you guys found it interesting, to say the least. And as always, I am Badger Wild saying stay safe, stay frosty, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now.